So it's been a great year in home group, hasn't it? Um, I was looking back through all the sermon series that we've preached this year as we head into the end of this year. And I was thinking about home group in this month. And this is the last meeting of the year, unless you guys are going to do anything for Christmas. That's up to you. But the last video that I'll make for this year, and I'm thinking, what do we want to talk about? And I got to thinking about Promised Land and the Israelites. And once they made their way into the Promised Land, and I know that God made them wander in the wilderness for 40 years. And that first generation that did not have the faith to believe God could do this great thing for them, they had to die off in order for the next generation to come up. But that new generation of Israelites, God had to prove himself to them afresh, because all that they had just heard stories from the deliverance of Egypt, the Red Sea crossing, Mount Sinai. They didn't have that experience for themselves. So God took them through battles that they needed to trust him and have faith for. And he parted the Jordan River for them. And so they had their own experiences with God. And it wasn't just an experience they had between, the individual and God. They were having a collective experience. They had this thing together that each one of them, after they had crossed into the Jordan, after Jericho had fallen down, the walls had fallen down, they had won that battle. And after they were starting to have to win their own battles in the Promised Land against the inhabitants of Canaan, think about each time they faced a new challenge. They themselves had something that they could lean back on. They could think back on. They could lean on how God delivered us from the Amalekites. And they could encourage one another with the stories that, yeah, I was in that battle. Oh, weren't you in that battle, Benjamin? Yeah, I was in that battle with Simeon. Yeah, it was awesome. And Moses was up on the hill, and oh my gosh, when he raised his hands up, man, we won. And it was great. It was cool. And when he lowered his hands, I don't know what happened, but this dude started kicking my butt, They could rehearse those stories to each other, and they were there for each other, and they were in the thick of things together. And they were experiencing what God was doing in all of them in moving them into a promised land together. So everyone, I'm sure, had their own individual experience, but it was a collective memory. It was a collective thing that they were receiving from God. And I think about this year in home group, each of you has been sharing about your life, about what God's doing in your life, about the struggles and the things that you've needed God to part the Red Sea for you, or part a Jordan River for you, or help you overcome an enemy. And as you've been sharing those, I want you to understand that's not just been your individual experience. Everyone in your home group has been going through that with you. Everyone shares that burden with you. Everyone celebrates the victories with you. Everyone is affected by the pain that you encounter and you experience. So today in home group, I just want you to look back on the year and maybe tell a story or two about how God brought all of you together through something. And yeah, you remember that time in June when I was facing this thing, and man, and you guys prayed for me, and God brought us through that. I just want to thank God. And here's what I want you to do. You want to thank God tonight. This is a testimony, thank God kind of night, okay? Thank God for what he's done, but I want you to single someone else out in your group. And I want you to give a shout, give an attaboy, and just appreciate the ones who were there with you. Appreciate the ones who helped when you were in need. Appreciate the ones who really called and checked on you. And let's just show that appreciation to each other so that we don't forget how valuable each other is in this group, how much we need each other as we do life together in your groups, right? I mean, this is not just a discussion group. This is a group where we share our lives together, we pray with each other to go through life together, and we do life together in these groups. Whether you meet at a home or whether you meet at the church, it doesn't matter where you meet. You're doing life together. So it's time to look back and reflect on 2025, what God has done, and the ones through whom he's done it in your life. So appreciate one another and just have a great time blessing one another for what God has done. All right? Bless you.